641. Union. After saying this, Naruto said lightly, "You are not my opponent, hurry up." Laxus was shocked again. He bit Kiba and said with a face full of unwillingness, "This time there is no winner yet, next time I will definitely defeat you." With an angry grunt, Laxus turned around and left the hall. At this time, someone in the hall shouted, "Laxus, you are obviously defeated, okay. You even denied it on purpose." Laxus froze for a while, and then quickly quickened his pace. He galloped and ran a long way, full of unwillingness in his heart. At this moment, a short figure suddenly appeared in front, with his back to him. "Old man." The other party turned around and looked at him seriously. "Laxus. He is President Makarov." In fact, when Laxus and Naruto fought, he had already come to the guild, but he did not come forward to stop him. But after watching the battle, he did not come to him until his ineffective grandson was defeated and ran out. "Show up. Why are you here?" Laxus exclaimed angrily. Lost to a kid, it seems that the old man came to see his joke. "Have you failed?" Makarov asked suddenly. Sure enough, this old man came to cancel himself. Hateful. He clenched his fists even more afraid. "You have a magic crystal in your body. You are the second-generation Dragon Slayer magician. The lightning ball you used just now belongs to dragon-slaying magic, right?" Makarov asked suddenly. Laxus was taken aback and nodded. Makarov was dignified and said, "But I can see that your dragon-slaying magic was absorbed by Naruto. As far as I know, he is an ice magician, and his ability is ice attribute magic. I didn't expect to have such an ability." Laxus was also puzzled. Hearing what his grandfather said, he also showed a confused look on his face. "It's so strange, Naruto, he can even absorb Dragon Slayer magic." Makarov muttered. He had never seen such a wizard before. "Humph, I will defeat him one day." Laxus thought for a while and couldn't figure it out, so he didn't want to talk to his grandfather anymore. But just before he left, Makarov said, "Laxus, don't fight Naruto in the future. Even I can't see through his power." Laxus was shocked. At this time, in the guild hall, everyone was happy for Naruto's victory. After reacting, they finally realized Naruto's strength, and even Laxus was helpless and got the end of defeat. This made Naruto rise to the strongest existence in the guild in the eyes of everyone in the guild. Everyone looked at him with admiration and awe. Especially those girls, can't wait to rush up and knock Naruto down. "Naruto, I really can't understand why you are so powerful at such a young age. How did you cultivate your magic?" someone asked. "I really want to cut you open to see if there are monsters hidden in your body," someone shouted. "I see who dares." Urza immediately stood up and said angrily when she heard these words. "Ahaha, Urza is in a hurry. Don't worry, we won't touch Naruto. Besides, we don't dare to touch him because he is so strong." "Hey, it's called care and chaos," someone called Guy. Elsa suddenly made a big Yuhi face. And the girls went wild with jealousy. In the chorus of everyone, Naruto and Urza left the guild hall as if they were fleeing. When the two came to the street, they couldn't help breathing in unison. Urza glanced at Naruto, her face slightly Yuhi, and whispered, "I'll go back first." It seems that she was embarrassed by everyone calling Guy just now, and she hasn't recovered yet. Naruto nodded. "Then I'll take you back." "Ah, there's no need for that. I'll just go home by myself." Urza waved her hand hastily. "Oh, goodbye then." Naruto smiled slightly, not reluctantly. After watching her leave, he also returned home. The Laxus thing was just an episode. Naruto and Urza's life returned to normal the next day. Except for Naruto's reputation getting bigger in the guild, everything was fine. These days continued for a few more days, and Urza's strength became stronger and stronger. These days, Naruto has had a preliminary understanding of magicians. Most of the magicians in this world only focus on the cultivation of magic, and do not have too many requirements for the cultivation of physical skills. Most of them are just personal preference. Therefore, many wizards are not well trained in physical skills, and everyone relies on their own magic to fight. Of course, with the exception of some magics that need to be combined with physical skills, such as Urza. Although her transformation magic can rely on the attributes of her armor to enhance herself, if she does not have superb physical skills and swordsmanship, it is difficult to defeat the opponent in battle. Therefore, Naruto Tenten helped her to practice physical and sword skills. Under Naruto's guidance, Urza's strength has reached the strongest existence among her peers in the guild. In this regard, most girls of the same age in the guild are both envious and jealous of Urza. However, whenever there were girls who wanted to get close to Naruto, Urza would glare at her secretly, and then those girls would be scared away. Therefore, although Urza is usually not that difficult to get along with, and even chats with everyone, but in the eyes of girls, she is simply a vicious existence. Secretly, I don't know how many girls dream of hitting her. Kana is one of them, but a sorcerer with no strength like him can only watch secretly anxiously. However, on this day, several girls in the guild suddenly joined forces and challenged Urza together. Led by Kana, followed by several other girls, they called Urza directly to a meadow outside the guild and questioned her. "Elsa, we have something very important to tell you," Kana shouted at the front. 642. The Girls' Offensive. Urza had just finished training and was a little tired, and she felt a little inexplicable after being found by this group of girls. After hearing Kana's words, she said lightly, "If you have anything, just say it. Everyone is a guild companion, don't hide it." As soon as these words were said, Kana's popularity was weakened by 3 points, as if she was a positive character and her own people were negative characters. "Okay, since you said that, then I'll just say it," Kana asked with a wave of her arm. "Urza, do you have a definite relationship with Naruto?" Urza was stunned. She didn't expect Kana and the others to ask such a question. She thought to herself, her face turned up, and she said, "What's the relationship you're talking about?" "Humph. Stop pretending. Just straight up, do you like each other?" Kana yelled. "Hey, how can you ask such a question? I refuse to answer." Urza couldn't help but feel ashamed. She didn't dare to talk nonsense on such a sensitive topic. But she still thought secretly in her heart, they should like each other. "Humph. Are you running away? We are seriously negotiating with you," Kana said with a serious look. Several other girls also nodded yes. Elsa was stunned for a moment, and then realized that it was not so simple. She asked with a cold face, "What are you asking me for? Can't you see it normally? I realized, these guys are trying to shoot Naruto." "Please answer directly," Kana said seriously. Elsa looked flustered, her eyes dodged a little, but after seeing what Kana was looking forward to, she suddenly calmed down and hummed, "Okay. Since you must tell me, then I will answer you. Naruto and I are very good friends, and we will definitely become boyfriend and girlfriend in the future, so don't be delusional about him. He is mine." At this time, Urza is simply domineering. Kana. The girls were shocked and froze in place. Immediately, they all laughed happily. "Elsa, so you and Naruto are not boyfriend and girlfriend yet?" "Humph. It's boring." Seeing how ill-intentioned they were laughing, Elsa suddenly felt that something was wrong. She snorted coldly and said, "I'll go back if I'm okay." "Well, okay, you can go back. See you tomorrow." Kana and the girls smiled and waved to let Urza leave. "That's great. Urza and Naruto are not boyfriend and girlfriend relationship. If we say that, we still have a chance. It's not a third party," the girls exclaimed excitedly. "Yeah, we have to act as soon as possible. With the relationship between Urza and Naruto, she is running ahead of us. We must bring her down." Kana clenched her pink fist with high fighting spirit. "Yes, if we are together, we can definitely beat her." The next day, Naruto came to the guild to find quests as usual, sat down for a drink, and listened to everyone talking about the magic world. Urza originally wanted to come together, but today she wanted to train for a while, so she didn't come. This just gave Kana their chance. Just as Naruto was sitting on a chair drinking a drink, Kana and a few girls came to his table and sat down. Then, they started a series of offensives against him, chatting with each other, and all kinds of flattery. Naruto was very uncomfortable, and after sitting there drinking the juice, he immediately made an excuse to leave the guild. What a group of noisy girls. Naruto wiped his sweat. He didn't expect it to be so scary when Urza wasn't around. It seems that it would be better to come to the guild with Urza next time. When they saw Naruto fleeing, Kana and the others were immediately very disappointed. Why does Naruto look so unhappy? He seems to have escaped. Does he hate us? The girls were uneasy. But soon the fighting spirit rekindled. No, this time, our method must be wrong. Next time, change the pattern. Yeah, if I go together, he definitely won't know who to talk to. Why don't we go one by one? Yeah, that's a good idea, but if anyone succeeds then, won't it be cheaper for her? Well, that's true. It doesn't matter, anyway, don't let Urza succeed. That's right, we have to get rid of Urza first. The girls immediately made another plan. Then, another day later, Naruto came to the guild with Urza, and Urza said that she went to the toilet on the way. Immediately afterwards, just as she was talking about going to the toilet, a cute girl ran over, took Naruto's hand and said, "Brother Naruto, I have something very important to tell you. Come with me." Quote. Naruto didn't know why, so he stood up and ran out after her. The two ran to the edge of the fence outside the guild, and the girl stopped, but stood in front of Naruto with her head lowered, rubbing the corners of her clothes, unable to speak. At this time, the few Kana people who were hiding in the corner and watching here couldn't help but feel very annoyed. Really, I didn't expect that guy to be useless and lose the chain at a critical moment. If you're okay, I'll go back first, Naruto said, seeing that she didn't say anything important for a long time. Isn't this girl deliberately playing tricks on herself? Or are you bored and want to play games with yourself? Hey, wait. At this moment, Kana finally couldn't stand it anymore, and jumped out from the side with a shout, standing in front of Naruto. Kana. Naruto was slightly taken aback. Ahaha, what a coincidence, Naruto, I have something to ask you. Kana laughed. Oh, what's the matter? Well, it's a very important thing. It's very important. Kana's heart was pounding, and she was hesitating whether she should confess now and let him be her boyfriend. But saying it directly like this will definitely scare him, and if he doesn't agree, it will be miserable. For a time, she began to hesitate in her heart. 643. 2 years later. However, just when she made the decision to fight to the death, Urza's voice suddenly came from not far away. Naruto, where have you been? Why did he suddenly disappear? The sound is getting closer. Soon, Urza found here. She saw Kana standing in front of Naruto on the spot, frowned, walked over and said, Kana, what are you and Naruto doing here? She knew that, given Naruto's popularity in the guild, 9 out of 10 girls had bad intentions. Ahaha, I didn't do anything. It just happened to be a few words, and it's none of your business, Urza, right? Kana laughed. When Urza heard the words, her tone suddenly suffocated, and then she glared at her secretly, and said lightly, if that's the case, then you can talk to me, I happen to be free. After speaking, she couldn't help but drag Kana away. The next day, Naruto didn't see Kana in the guild, but Elsa seemed to be in a good mood. She walked around the guild with Naruto and took on another mission. These days, the two have also formed a habit of training together, doing tasks together, and coming to the guild to play together. This life has been more than a year for nearly 2 years. Naruto feels very comfortable. Although the guild has encountered some minor incidents a few times, it is considered calm, and the number of members in the guild is increasing. A year ago, a boy with short hair and pink yuhi joined the guild. Named Natsu, it's actually the same dragon slayer magician as himself. Naruto immediately discussed with him, and found that the Fire Dragon Slayer magic he used was also very powerful. However, when Naruto was discussing with him, he could directly absorb his flames. This made Natsu extremely shocked. Since then, he has been chasing Naruto to fight him, insisting that he wants to defeat him. At that time, Naruto thought he was quite annoying, and every time Urza couldn't see it, he would stand up and beat him wildly. Fortunately, Gray later disliked his approach, and it was his mission to challenge Naruto. So he immediately went to Natsu and said that the two of them would have to compete first, and then fight Naruto. So, in the following year, Natsu and Gray got entangled with each other, which made Naruto calm down. However, after 2 years of research, Naruto finally discovered the nature of the Dragon Slayer magician. He himself learned the Ice Dragon Slayer magic by being taught by the Ice Dragon, but he had already discovered the so-called Ice Dragon Slayer magic. It's not that special either, it's similar to the magic developed by oneself, it uses the natural magic power in the body to activate it. Moreover, he was able to absorb the lightning power of Laxus at the beginning, and now he can absorb the flame power of Natsu. In essence, the magic power used by these two people is one of the natural magic powers that they can absorb. And Naruto also speculated that Laxus magic should also be dragon-slaying magic. Because the essence of dragon-slaying magic is magic that uses natural magic power. The magic in Naruto is all natural magic, and it is also all attribute magic. Logically speaking, he can use the Dragon Slayer magic of the whole system. Of course, after knowing the essence of dragon-slaying magic, he no longer sticks to magic moves. As long as the magic in his body is natural magic, the magic used will definitely be stronger than that of ordinary people, the magic of nature, and the magic power absorbed into the human body to be changed as a power of different levels. This is like the difference between chakra and sage art chakra. And Naruto's current magic power belongs to the level of sage art chakra, natural magic power. During the 2 years in this guild, while Naruto trained with Urza, his own cultivation did not fall. The magic power in the body was used more skillfully, and the spiritual power increased through meditation also made great progress. But the only regret is that he has not found anyone who can compete with him in the past 2 years. He has also found the President Makarov, but unfortunately this old man is not willing to fight Naruto at all. As for the rest of the guild, those of the same age did not dare to fight him, and no one could fight him. The older members are even more reluctant to fight him, because even if they win, it is not a glorious thing, and if they lose, they will be even more shameless. After all, if you can't beat even a child, you will be ridiculed by everyone. Therefore, Naruto has not found an opponent so far. I originally heard that there is a guy named Gildas in the guild, but unfortunately I have never had the chance to meet him. No way. Naruto is now looking for a way to quickly increase his spiritual power in addition to his own meditation practice. After all, to kill 10 tails and fuse magic power, you must have enough strength, and Naruto's strength is now directly linked to spiritual power. The magic power he can absorb is equal to his own spiritual power can control amount. Of course, because of the 10 tails relationship, even if his mental power is insufficient, he can control more natural magic power. Because natural magic power has no consciousness, even if his mental power is insufficient, he will not easily run away, as long as his body can bear it. Just go down. But now with 10 tails at work, he wouldn't dare to use more natural magic, otherwise he would have been invincible long ago. It can be said that the most important part of Naruto's strength growth is conquering 10 tails, and everything else is easy to say. However, in the past 2 years, although Naruto has thought of many ways, there is still no direct and effective way to kill it. Helpless, he only concentrates on meditation every day to increase his spiritual power a little bit. Fortunately, his spiritual power has grown very rapidly under meditation, and now it has more than doubled compared to before he came to this world. As usual, today, Naruto also took on a mission. Over the past 2 years, almost every mission he accepted was the one with the highest reward on the mission board, which was the most difficult mission, and each mission was only successful. There is no failure. After taking over the task, Naruto brought some salutes and went out. This mission, he performed a total of 3 days. On the 3rd day, he returned to the guild. However, as soon as he returned to the guild, he found that the guild had become a little different. Because when he first stepped into the guild, he saw an incredible scene. I saw Urza pinching with a girl with white hair and a ponytail. The girl looked fierce and fought frantically with Urza. The two scratched their hair, scratched their chests, and bit each other. After a series of actions, Naruto felt that the world had suddenly changed. Although Urza is usually more powerful, she is not so strong against others, right? Besides, who is that girl with white hair? 644. The 3 of Mirage are here. Not only that, but there seem to be 2 more people in the guild, because next to Urza and the girl, 2 children with white hair stood there, seemingly trying to persuade them to fight. One of them was a goofy-looking teenager, a big, well-developed looking boy with a stitched scar on his eye. The other is a young and petite girl, with short white hair, big clear and pure eyes, delicate facial features, and a pink face, all of which look very cute. The 2 seem to have nothing to do with the Yuhi-haired and white-haired girl who were right in front of them. And the people around them seemed to be booing. Seeing this scene, Naruto couldn't help frowning. He just walked into the guild, walked over slowly, and said indifferently, "Elsa, what are you doing?" Naruto's voice was very calm, but it also carried a strange infectious force, which immediately cheered everyone around, and turned their heads in unison to look at him. Everyone burst into exclamations. "Ah, it's Naruto. Naruto is back. No way such a difficult task came back in only 3 days. Naruto must have done it well." All kinds of voices came one after another. Naruto asked, "Where's the president?" Mikao jumped out and waved his hand. "The president is not here. How is your mission, Naruto?" When Naruto heard this, he muttered, "It seems that the mission will be reported to him next time. What's the situation now?" He looked at Urza and the girl with the white ponytail. At this moment, she and Urza were choking each other's necks. "Elsa," he called to her. Urza quickly pushed the white-haired girl away, and explained to Naruto in a slightly flustered manner, "Naruto, you're back. This guy is a newcomer who has just joined the trade union, he's super arrogant." As soon as Urza said this, the white-haired girl immediately became angry. She glared at her fiercely, and suddenly rushed in front of Naruto, staring at him. "Are you Urza's helper? Blonde boy. The tone seems to be very bad, It's really arrogant. Mind-blowing thought. Hey, you bastard, how dare you talk to Naruto like that?" Urza rushed behind her, grabbing her arm and getting angry. The white-haired girl snorted softly, "Even if you find a helper, it's not my opponent. This will only make you weaker." Hearing her arrogant remarks, Urza couldn't help but shout, "Don't talk nonsense to me, it seems that I'm not as good as you. Are we capable of going out to a duel?" Things seem to be getting worse and worse. Looking at the 2 girls who were quarreling in front of him, Naruto shook his head in distress. Urza is also true, and she actually quarrels with others like Natsu and Gray. Did they get infected? After thinking about it, Naruto felt that in the 3 days that he was away, the guild must have undergone great changes. He stood aside and smiled bitterly. At this moment, the white-haired girl suddenly put aside Urza and stopped arguing with her, and turned to Naruto and said, "Forget it, as a newcomer, let me introduce myself to you first. My name is Mi. Raj, the 2 over there are my brother and sister, Elfman and Lysina. We just entered the guild 3 days ago." "Oh, so this is these 3 new faces are really new. I thought it was the guy who was making trouble outside." Naruto thought about it. A gentle smile appeared on his face. He stretched out his hand and smiled. "My name is Uzumaki Naruto, first time meeting, hello." Although people look fierce, but as an old man in the guild, he still needs the demeanor he should have. Mirage, the girl with white ponytail, was stunned when she saw Naruto's bright smile, and then she curled her lips and said, "You look very different from Urza. How can you be so rude and arrogant? Are the guys a gang? I think you'd better join us. The white-haired girl was talking to herself, but no matter how Naruto listened, she thought she was talking about herself, not Urza, right? Urza was very quiet before this. Well, although, this silence is also relative to Gray and Natsu, but it's still much better than it is now. Naruto was sweating secretly. He looked at the others around him as if asking for help, when Kana suddenly jumped over, holding a bottle of spirits in her hand, grabbed Naruto's arm and shouted, all right, Naruto, you just come back, must be very tired. Just ignore these two vexatious guys. Come and relax with me for a drink. In front of everyone's eyes, she pulled Naruto to the side and sat down. After pouring Naruto a glass of wine, she drank it herself. Kana, your alcohol intake is getting bigger and bigger, so don't drink indiscriminately. Naruto kindly advised. Cut, Naruto, you don't want to be my boyfriend. Don't teach me a lesson. Kana pouted and said sadly. In the past 2 years, Kana and the other women in the union have never given up chasing him, but unfortunately because of Urza, they never succeeded, so as time passed, they had no choice but to give up. Actually, they were forced to. Urza's pressure had to deliberately numb her like this. Therefore, seeing Urza's energy being taken away by the white-haired girl at this time, Kana suddenly saw hope again. Naruto picked up the wine and took a sip, feeling the spicy taste in his mouth. He couldn't help shaking his head and sighing. Kana, if you continue like this, your body will really be ruined. I'm not afraid, but I can be concerned by Naruto. It seems that I need to drink more next time. Kana showed a bright smile on her face. At this time, Urza, who was arguing with Mirage, saw Kana and Naruto drinking and chatting with each other during her busy schedule, and she couldn't help but want to come over. It's a pity that Mirage held her so tightly that she had no time to come. 645. Two people who are not in harmony. This scene made Kana happy. I couldn't help but secretly thank Mirage in my heart. How wonderful. Miss Mirage, please hold Urza down for a while. Maybe I can have something more meaningful with Naruto tonight. Kana here is thinking wildly, and Urza over there is furious. Will you let me go? Urza roared, her head seemed to be blazing with flames. Mirage greeted him with a vicious tone. I just don't let it go. What can you do to me? Full of momentum, there is no newcomer's consciousness at all. Sister, it's all right, stop arguing. I think it's better for us to get to know Naruto first. Little Listener on the side tugged at the corner of her sister's clothes and said with a pitiful look on her face. Only then did Mirage let go of Urza, and instead stared at her with his eyes. Urza finally got out. She first tidied up the messy Yuhi hair and the armor on her body, and then adjusted her messy breathing before coming to sit down in front of Naruto. Naruto, how did you finish this mission? She directly ignored Kana who was talking to Naruto. Kana bit Kiba and glared at her, feeling so unwilling, her eyes shot with anger. But he dared to be angry and did not dare to speak. Naruto nodded and replied, it's all right, it's successfully completed, this time I got a very generous bonus. I saw a good set of armor last time, and I plan to buy it for you this time. As soon as Urza heard this, a moved expression appeared on her face, and she said softly, really, Naruto, every time you spend your money on me and I still haven't paid off your money yet. What? Although she said so, her eyes were on Kana, who was on the side, intentionally or unintentionally, and Kana, who was irritated by the content of her words, banged her head to death. When did Naruto buy clothes for himself? Damn, surely he is the best for Urza. It's so nasty. Heartbroken and despairing, Kana shook her head and left her seat with a long sigh, and ran to the side to drink. It seems that she is going to drink more alcohol today. Everyone thinks so. Urza defeated Kana, and of course she was very proud. In the past 2 years, she has also been angered by the offensive of Kana and several other girls, but she was once seen by Naruto when she used force, and then after being taught a lesson by Naruto, it has now become like this. No longer use pure force to intimidate others, but pay attention to momentum. Of course, she also learned the secret warfare tactics among women. For these, Naruto felt very distressed. After 2 years, he could not stand the scene of being chased by a group of little girls. It seems that I have to find a chance to get out of the guild. If this goes on, I will really degenerate. At this moment, Mirage suddenly swayed and walked over. She suddenly put her hands on Naruto's shoulders from behind, approached him and smiled. Little handsome guy, the first heard that you are the strongest boy in the guild. Is this true? I'm curious. Hello. Wasn't this guy very arrogant to Naruto before? Why did it suddenly change at this time? Urza became angry again. Before Naruto could answer, she stood up and shouted, Mirage. What do you want? That expression was as if trying to fight with others. Mirage couldn't help but froze for a moment. He didn't expect Urza to react so much. It's good now, she smiled secretly in her heart. Not so good. I just suddenly found out that Naruto seems to be very important to you. I don't know what will happen to you if you take him away. Mirage's mouth grinned like a devil. Urza's expression suddenly became cold, and the next moment, a flash of light flashed in her hand, and a long sword with a cold light was held in her hand and pointed directly at Mirage, saying, then you can try it anyway. Quote. Oh, I'm so scared. Mirage was not at all afraid of Urza like other girls in the guild. On the contrary, he became even more arrogant. Seeing this, he stretched out a jade finger and flicked it lightly. Urza's long sword said with a smile, you haven't been able to defeat me once in the past 2 days, right? This is not a deterrent to me at all. Urza's expression froze. At this time, Naruto couldn't stand it anymore, stood up and said, what's the matter with the two of you? If you really want to fight, go out and fight, don't fight here. Urza withdrew her long sword at once, sat back in her seat, and looked at him with a face of acknowledgement. Mirage was stunned for a moment, but didn't have the slightest scruples. Naruto's words angered her instead. Hey. My mother said that you are the strongest, that's to give you face, you are actually more arrogant than me. She grabbed Naruto's collar and said angrily, are you trying to test my mother's strength? Naruto frowned. This girl is arrogant enough. Enough personality. However, he just finished the task and wanted to come to the union to relax and have a drink in peace. He doesn't like it now. Moreover, her green and white jade-like hand was grabbing her collar, and although she could smell a faint fragrance emanating from her jade hand, it was still very unpleasant for him. Therefore, he decisively stretched out his hand and squeezed the opponent's wrist. Mirage's wrists were white, delicate, and soft. The two looked at each other, and an aura filled the air. Elsa looked at her anxiously. How can this be done? Naruto actually held people's hands. Damn Mirage, is this a strategy? Intentionally angering Naruto in order to gain physical contact with each other. It is indeed a devil. So bad, so cunning. 646. You won't marry. However, at this time, Mirage was not what Urza had imagined, but instead had a look of pain on his face. It turned out that Naruto squeezed her wrist very hard, and it felt like it would break if he squeezed it any further. This guy has no pity on Shangshiyu at all. Mirage thought indignantly, after all, she is also a beauty, right? It's just that she didn't know that, with her fierce appearance, although she was beautiful, it was estimated that no man would dare to approach. Let go, little girl, Naruto said lightly. What did you say? Mirage was furious. I told you to let go. No, next sentence. Little girl. Naruto smiled slightly, and then asked, isn't it? Damn it, I have to give you some color today. Mirage looked down at his chest. It was true that it had not yet developed, but that was not the point. The head boy said it was a little girl. How ridiculous. The next moment, regardless of the pain in her hand, her other hand suddenly became a claw and grabbed Naruto's face. If you are caught now, Naruto's company will definitely bloom. So just as her palm was about to approach her face, Naruto instantly stretched out his other hand and grabbed her wrist. This time, both of Mirage's little hands were controlled by Naruto. And Mirage was staring at him angrily at this time, very close to him, face to face, almost sticking together. Let me go. Mirage was furious, as if it would explode in the next moment. It's just that she knows in her heart that she is clearly at a disadvantage now in this situation. I didn't expect this guy's movements to be so agile. His two hands were controlled, and his strength was amazing. Like iron tongs, he couldn't break free no matter how hard he tried. It can be seen that this guy really has some real skills. What everyone said is true. I think it's better for you to relax, Naruto said a little embarrassedly. It turned out that Mirage jumped onto Naruto's body unwittingly under a moment of excitement, only to see her slender thighs directly wrapped around Naruto's waist, and her small butt was sitting on his thigh. This seems to be trying to force his hands to break free from Naruto, but in the eyes of others, this is not the case at all. Urza clenched her teeth tightly, the flame in her eyes seemed to set her whole body on fire. She bit Kiba, gnashing her teeth, and shouted, "Am I? Pull, J, get me off Naruto." Ah, what are you talking about? Mirage didn't realize how indecent her actions were at this time. She continued to entangle with Naruto and asked back in confusion. Damn, you are so despicable. What's going on at me? Don't torture Naruto like this. Urza rushed over, hugged Mirage's neck from behind with both hands, and pulled back hard. At this moment, Naruto suddenly let go of Mirage's hands, which caused Urza's power to suddenly gain the upper hand and drag her off Naruto's body. However, Mirage was so immortal, those long legs were still tightly wrapped around Naruto's waist, and he couldn't let go. Naruto thought that this guy must have left him and flew out, but he didn't expect it to be so tightly wrapped, and most importantly, because Urza was pulling Milage back, which caused Milage there was a gap between Naruto and Naruto's legs. In this gap, Naruto suddenly noticed a touch of black. It is black. Naruto shook his head for a moment, and now, he was pulled forward by Urza and flew backwards. Boom. Ah. There was a loud crackling sound. The three immediately rolled into a ball and threw themselves under the table. Urza was pressed down at the bottom, Mirage sat on top of it, and Naruto was pressed on top of the two girls. It hurts. Mirage, who was caught in the middle, couldn't help groaning. At the bottom, Urza didn't have anything unusual, because she was wearing iron armor, and even the weight of Naruto and Mira didn't feel anything. Soft, silky, and with amazing elasticity. This is how Naruto feels right now. He pressed on Mirage's body, and the two of them looked at each other under the table. There was a sudden daze in Mirage's fierce eyes, and then a Yuhi halo appeared on his face. Naruto didn't know why, and Urza, who was suddenly pressed down at the bottom, kicked Naruto. Only then did he come back to his senses, only to find that one of his hands fell on Mirage's chest at some point. That's where girls are just beginning to develop. Soft, but also with a special strangeness. Yuhi flashed across his tender face, and he smiled bitterly in his heart. This is too bad, he actually touched Mirage's chest. Does this count as molesting an underage girl? The worst thing is that after Mirage got out from under the table, he suddenly seemed to be a different person, changing his previous fierce image, and looking at Naruto's eyes became affectionate. Naruto, if you touch someone's place, they will have you in the future. Mirage shyly came to Naruto, and hugged him tightly with both hands. All of a sudden, the jaws of everyone in the guild fell to the ground. It's hard to react to this dramatic change. Is this the same fierce girl from before? Could it be that after Naruto touched her chest, would there really be such serious consequences? Seeing Mirage's shy face, not only did everyone fail to react, but even Naruto was shocked. Hey, what's wrong with you? Naruto hurriedly pushed her hard, but she stuck to him like a piece of candy and couldn't push him away. A wry smile appeared on Naruto's face. And Urza, who had just climbed out from under the table and tidied up her armor, was so angry that she burst into flames when she saw this scene. 647. Naruto's deterrence. Damn Mirage. Don't give me an inch. Urza jumped over again, pulling her and Naruto apart, and the two soon fought together again. Naruto shook his head and smiled bitterly. It's getting more and more chaotic now. Speaking of which, although I touched Miraji's little tits just now, it's the same as having a little bun at that level. Apart from causing some discomfort to my mind, I really can't generate other thoughts. Of course, with the exception of perverts. Seeing Urza and her entangled again, Naruto was happy to be quiet, looked around, and planned to leave this place of right and wrong first. It's too dangerous, it seems that there will be some trouble in the guild in the future. It was already very noisy, and I felt that Natsu and Gray were annoying for a long time. Now Urza and Mirage have also become like this. This is really unbearable. However, just as Naruto was about to leave, Miraji's sister Lisa suddenly came over, pulled the corner of Naruto's clothes, raised her head and whispered, "Brother Naruto, don't mind, sister, it's all a joke. She won't call you responsible. It's just to scare you." Naruto was stunned. At this time, Mirage, who was fighting with Urza over there, also heard her sister's voice, and ran over at once, pulled her sister away and said, "Really, Lisa, why are you trying to expose me?" "Ah, I did this just to provoke Urza. Look how angry this guy is now." Urza's face turned pale, as if she was going to work hard at any time. After listening to Mirage's words, she realized that she had been tricked. Mirage jumped up. The two fought again. Naruto sighed secretly. It turns out that Mirage was joking. Really, how can this kind of thing be used as a joke? Don't you know it's very sensitive to men too? Or are you just thinking about it from the beginning to the end? Hateful. How could I have feelings for such a teenage girl who has not yet developed? However, when he was thinking about this sentence, Naruto's mind flashed again inadvertently that smear of black, which was the color between Mirage's legs. Well, of course it's the color of the panties. This kind of scene went on for a while, and when Naruto wanted to leave, Mirage and Urza stopped arguing. Urza was able to breathe, walked over to Naruto and asked, "Naruto, what interesting things have you encountered in the missions you have been doing these 3 days?" "It's nothing, it's just the story of encountering a monster that has always been very powerful, and then subduing the monster," Naruto replied. "I really don't know how to tell stories at all." Urza originally expected Naruto to tell her anecdotes along the way, but after hearing him say this, she immediately lost interest. Really helpless. She sighed slightly, and her expression became strange again. "Hey, Naruto, let me ask you a question. You have to come back to me honestly, okay?" "What's the problem?" Naruto asked curiously. That's what happened just now. Did you touch Mirage's place?" Where are you referring to?" Naruto said embarrassedly. Why did she suddenly mention this? Don't you want to cancel yourself? Elsa nodded seriously, and suddenly whispered, "Yes. Is she bigger than mine?" Naruto looked stunned, and replied stunned, "I don't know the size of yours, right?" "Oh, that's right. If that's the case, I'll come to you at night, you can help me see it." Urza laughed. Naruto was about to collapse. He doesn't want to molest young girls. This is going to be struck by thunder. How is it? Don't you agree? Elsa suddenly became angry. You touched her, it's not fair to me. It's even more unfair after touching it, Naruto said speechlessly. Urza had a melancholy look on her face. Naruto smiled wryly. At this moment, Mirage suddenly appeared next to the two of them and smiled contemptuously. Urza, even if your place is for Naruto to touch, he won't want it. Because mine is bigger than yours. She proudly straightened her small breasts. Although in Naruto's eyes that is the airport. Urza bit Kiba, the expression on her face became more bitter, and she let out a long sigh. Okay, don't make trouble for me. Naruto couldn't stand this black-bellied and funny Mirage, and pushed her away. Hey, dare to be stubborn with me again. Mirage said angrily again. Her face was full of ferocity, a small white foot suddenly stepped on the chair Naruto was sitting on, revealing the tender white legs under the short skirt, with one hand supporting Yunen's small chin, humming in her mouth. Naruto closed his eyes, and he suddenly exuded an incomparably powerful magical aura, which filled the air almost instantly. Everyone in the guild hall felt this aura, and they were all stunned in place. Activity ceased. Mikao and Okaba stopped chatting, Kana's glass was halfway up, and Natsu and Gray stopped in the middle of the fight. Almost everyone was stunned by the imposing aura emanating from Naruto. The power of this momentum is simply unbearable. Good. So powerful. At this moment, almost everyone had such an idea in their hearts. Such an aura, even an S-rank mage might not be able to have it, right? And Mirage, who was beside Naruto, was immediately shaken to the ground and unable to move. The original arrogant smile on his face solidified, and a small white face seemed to see something terrible. Fearful gaze. This is a natural fear of the weak for the strong, and it is the surrender of the lower power to the higher power. This kind of situation can only be reflected in people who are very different in strength. And this time, Naruto unleashed all the coercion of his whole body. The purpose is to shock the mischievous Mirage. He wants to let her know, what a ridiculous way to keep sweating on the old lady. He wants her to know who is the boss. At this moment, although Naruto was sitting on a chair, in the eyes of everyone, he seemed to be standing high on the top of the mountain, and everyone's eyes seemed to be looking up. Okay, so powerful. Mirage came in close contact with Naruto's aura. At this time, he was shocked by this aura, and he seemed to lose the strength to even move his legs. He actually felt like he was going to kneel and surrender in front of him. Damn. The power of this guy actually gave him such a great sense of fear. This is how much stronger than himself. It's unbelievable. At this moment, she finally realized the gap between herself and Naruto, and only then did she realize how childish and ridiculous she kept saying that she wanted to teach him a lesson. Fortunately, this powerful aura that almost made people kneel was only a breath, and Naruto had already taken it back. After more than 2 years of training, his magic power, which had already reached the S-level, has now increased a lot. As for what level he has reached, he can't tell. He only knows that it is definitely the level of S-level. I don't know if it has reached the level of Saint 10. Of course, he has not yet come to a conclusion as to what level his strength is, but he has been looking forward to someone who can come out and compete with him. 648. S-level assessment. Okay, the time for making trouble is over. I'll go back to rest first. After Naruto released his momentum, he stood up and walked out of the guild. It wasn't until then that everyone came back to their senses, looking at Naruto's back and fascinated. This is the first time Naruto has used such a powerful force in front of everyone. This intimidation made everyone present realize that Naruto's magic level was not what it appeared to be. Unfathomable. This is everyone's evaluation of Naruto at this time. Even Mirage was shocked, the original arrogant expression disappeared, and the only thing left was a deep shock. Naruto returned home, rested for a while, and began to meditate. After this mission, he wanted to go out for a walk, and if he had been doing some unchallenging missions in the guild, it was just to earn a little money for him, and he had already had a general understanding of the world in the past 2 years. Time to go out and find something challenging to do. Moreover, Urza is very happy in the guild, and her strength has initially grown, so she doesn't need to take care of herself anymore. Early the next morning, he went to the guild to find the president, but unfortunately, the president was not there, so he went up to the second floor to pick up a 10-year or 100-year mission to sit down. However, just when he was about to go up, a waitress suddenly stood up and stopped in front of him, gently persuading, Naruto, only S-rank mages can pick up the missions on the second floor. Although your strength has been recognized as very strong, but you have not been promoted to the guild S-rank mage, so you are not qualified. Naruto was stunned for a moment, only to realize that the guild still has such regulations. When he and Urza usually do tasks together, they only do tasks that can help her exercise and improve. Now he wants to do something that is beneficial to himself. When helping the task, I encountered such a provision. He shook his head helplessly. It seemed that the task could not be taken over, so he could only wander around by himself. After making up his mind, he planned to say goodbye to Urza and everyone in the guild. After all, it may have been a year and a half since he left. However, just when he was about to go to Urza to say goodbye, the waitress suddenly grabbed him and said with a smile, "Naruto, there will be an S-rank mage exam in the guild in a few days. I think your strength is so strong, you can definitely be the one." S-rank mage assessment. If you say that, I do have a bit of an impression. Naruto said. With your strength, Naruto, you can definitely become an S-rank. You can take the quest on the second floor at any time. The waitress laughed. Well, if that's the case, then I'll stay and take part in this assessment before leaving. By the way, I'll get some information from the mission, otherwise blindly wandering around won't be the solution. He muttered slightly. So, in order to wait for this S-level assessment, Naruto stopped going out to do quests these few days, waiting for the appearance of the guild leader, and I heard that Gildas will be back during the assessment. When the time comes, let's chat with him. With this thought in mind, Naruto couldn't help being a little excited. The cutting-edge power of this world is the top 10 magic guides, but Makarov, who is currently recognized as the Holy 10, is unwilling to learn from himself, and in this guild, Naruto thinks that Gildas is the strongest exists. Since the president is unwilling to take action, then find him. Naruto secretly said. In the forest not far from the guild, Naruto was practicing against Urza. Because the assessment of the S-rank mages is coming soon, everyone who has received news from various places is secretly training themselves. Urza found Naruto and practiced against him as always. Of course, Urza also enjoys this feeling very much. If Naruto is not by her side when she is cultivating one day, she will feel uncomfortable. For her, Naruto's existence has become a part of her life and can no longer be divided. However, Naruto's strength is very strong. When facing Urza, Urza couldn't hurt him even if she used all her strength, and even lost quickly every time, which made her feel very unwilling. She also wanted to fight Naruto evenly, she also wanted to see Naruto's power clearly, and she wanted to go further into his world and catch up with him. For Urza, Naruto is the target she wants to chase. Is the direction of all efforts. After 2 or 3 moves, Urza was knocked out by Naruto, and the armor on her body was changed for more than 10 sets, but none of them could pose a substantial threat to Naruto. In such a situation, Urza is already used to it. Sitting on the ground and panting slightly, Elsa looked up at him. In the past 2 years, she has tried to narrow the gap with him again and again, but Naruto's strength is there, whenever she thinks she is more powerful. When I went further, I realized that it was farther away. Naruto, when will I be as powerful as you? Urza sat up from the ground forcefully, raised her strength again, and rushed towards him. However, there was no doubt that she was beaten back by Naruto again. That's it for today, Naruto said, seeing her tired face. No, I have to fight again. Otherwise, I won't be able to become an S-rank mage, and I won't be able to accept the quest on the second floor with you. Urza shouted stubbornly. Naruto laughed dumbly. How old are you now? It's still very early, with your strength it will take a few more years. When he said this, Naruto didn't seem to consider his own age. It is because of this that Urza feels even more unwilling. Naruto is the same age as herself, but why is there such a big gap between herself and him? When he had the strength to become an S-rank mage, he was still climbing slowly. I must catch up with you. Otherwise, I will be very unwilling, Urza said stubbornly. Hey, okay, then you can chase it slowly, but the way of strength has to be done gradually. Urza, your strength is already very strong now, there is no need to speed up, otherwise you will lose control. And my body can't take it anymore. He nodded and persuaded again. After Urza heard the words, she no longer defended, and she also knew that the issue of strength is not good if it is too impatient. But when she heard that Naruto was going to take up the mission on the second floor, she had a kind of thought that she really wanted to go with him. After finally persuading Urza, Naruto went to the guild with her, intending to take a break. Along the way, Naruto told her that he wanted to go out alone for a few years, and formally bid her farewell. After Urza heard it, she was stunned for a moment, and the expression on her face became very lost. Being silent for a long time, she opened her mouth and said, "So, Naruto, will you not return to the guild for a long time? Like the other powerful wizards in the guild, will it take a few years before you come?" "Well, I don't know this yet. It depends on the mission, but when my foray has achieved results, I will come back here soon. Then I can only practice alone in the future," Urza murmured. "Ah, it's not a big deal, right? You already have your own set of methods to improve your strength. As long as you practice slowly in the future, you will become an S-rank mage within a few years." Naruto Wei laughed. "Is that so?" But Urza opened her mouth. In fact, she wanted to say something to save her, but after thinking about it, she found that she had no reason to convince him. She had no choice but to give up. 649. Why pursue power? I can't stop Naruto from going out and wandering around. I have accepted so much care from him all along. Without him, I wouldn't have come out of the Tower of Paradise, and maybe I'm still stuck there and struggling. Without him, I would have been very difficult when I first joined the Union, and I would have been bullied by many people. Now, I have become one of the best among my peers in the Union. In short, without him, I would not have everything I am now." When she heard that he was leaving, her heart clenched tightly, even if she would come back, but when she heard that it would take a few years, she felt as if she was missing something. Urza, who was a little depressed, followed Naruto's footsteps to the guild. After ordering twice the drinks, the two sat down and drank. Urza's mood was a little down. After a while, Mirage, who had already noticed Urza's arrival, suddenly came to her side and reached out to touch her on purpose. "Why?" Urza asked, looking back at her. "Yo Urza, why are you so unimpressive today? Did you encounter something unhappy?" "Ha ha ha, that's great. You have such a day too," Mirage gloated. When Urza heard the words, she glared at her fiercely, but did not speak. Seeing this scene, Mirage became even more puzzled. This is not like Urza. She is not the type to be bullied at will. Usually, if she makes her a little uncomfortable, she will shoot and beat herself. What happened today? It seems really worried. Mirage laughed dryly and finally calmed down. Really, Urza, this is not like you. Come on, show up some energy, otherwise it will be very boring. Mira tapped her armor with both hands and said provocatively, "We didn't last time. It's a winner." Urza glanced at Naruto, shook her head and said silently, "Forget it, I'm really not in the mood today, don't bother me. Naruto is leaving, and these days will be the last few days for me to get along with him. After he leaves, I will not be able to drink and chat with him quietly for a long time." Therefore, she was very disgusted with Mirage who came to disturb her, but she was not in the mood to argue with her when she was depressed. The expression on Mirage's face froze, and his face was slightly angry, but he was suppressed and did not break out, and walked away as if nothing had happened. "Actually, she treats you very well," Naruto said at this time. "Really, she and I are inseparable." Urza glanced at Mirage's figure and snorted softly. Naruto smiled lightly, and she felt relieved that Urza had a friend like Mirage in the guild. On the other side, after Mirage walked away, he muttered indignantly, "Elsa. I'll let you be arrogant for a while today. If you're in a bad mood, I will let you go, and next time I must let you go. Kneel down and beg for mercy." However, why is Urza in a bad mood? Mirage muttered to himself. At this moment, Kana, who was drinking beside her, suddenly glanced at her and said, "Because Naruto is leaving, I heard that he needs to be promoted to the S-rank mage qualification in order to do advanced tasks on the second floor. Hey. What an excellent man. I won't see him for a long time in the future. She drank even harder with the bottle of wine. Oh, that's how it is. The source of everything is this guy Naruto. It's abominable. Mirage snorted softly, as the culprit who made Urza unable to lift himself up. What a bastard. Hey, Mirage, don't do anything out of the ordinary, Kana said hurriedly when she heard her words. Che, do you think I'm a fool? That guy's strength is terrifying, so I won't find it boring. When Mirage said these words, a sly look flashed in his eyes. She suddenly asked, Kana, is the S-class wizard exam coming soon? Yeah, what's wrong? There are still 3 days left. As members of the guild, will Urza and Naruto also be nominated to participate? Mirage asked again. It should be. She and Naruto are the youngest people to participate in the assessment this time. But the other people who participated in the competition are also very strong. Well, I see. Mirage nodded and walked away. Kana looked at her back strangely. What is this guy doing? In the evening, Naruto and Urza walked out of the guild. Elsa, cheer up. He turned to look at her and said. It's nothing, I'm in good spirits now. Urza forced a smile and smiled at Naruto. Your smile is really ugly. Naruto shook his head helplessly. Hey, Urza sighed deeply. Do you have to do such a dangerous mission? Naruto nodded. Yes, I am looking forward to those difficult tasks, because I want to find something worth challenging to do. But that's time-consuming and dangerous. Can't we just do a normal task? Urza asked. After listening to Naruto, he couldn't help but pondered for a while, then he lowered his head, his face full of serious expression. People need to be motivated, and I have this reason to be motivated. I must quickly improve my strength. Strength, is it really that important to you? You are strong enough now. Urza didn't understand. Naruto was already something to look up to in her eyes, but even so, he not satisfied. Sometimes, she really felt that Naruto was greedy. Although he was already so much stronger than everyone else, he was still not satisfied at all. He trained more than herself every day, and seemed to have a stronger desire for strength than anyone else. Naruto shook his head with a smile on his face. No, Urza, for me, this kind of power is too weak. My goal is to need more powerful power, which is why I came to this world. The goal set by the above is the goal that will never change. Quote. Why, then what is your goal? After gaining more power, what are you going to do? Aren't we very happy now? Very happy. Urza suddenly roared hysterically. 650. The exam begins. For power, he could leave himself alone, just pure ridiculous power. Seeing her excited face, Naruto sighed slightly. Of course he knew that Urza must be reluctant to go so far, and he was very worried and puzzled. But he must get the power to control everything as soon as possible. Only in this way can he reverse the time and space and find everything back. Because he is unwilling to lose the good things that were in the past, and although he is very happy here, he cannot forget everything in the past. Every time on a moonlit night, when he occasionally raised his head inadvertently, he would always stand there in a daze, recalling everything he had experienced in his mind. Yes, he is not willing to be controlled by fate like this. He wants to conquer all this. Even if this road is against the sky, he will not hesitate. But how can I tell Urza these words? I am afraid that even if she said it, it would only add to her troubles. The end, he could only hold Urza's shoulders and said softly, Sorry, Urza, there are some reasons I can't tell you right now. One day I will confess to you. Let's make myself stronger first. At least that way I won't worry about you when I'm outside. Elsa's delicate body trembled slightly, looking up at Naruto's blue eyes, which seemed to have eyes that she had never seen before. Deep, distant, sad, happy, painful, sweet. All the emotions were intertwined, and she seemed to understand a little. In Naruto's eyes, there were many stories that she had never understood. Why doesn't he talk to himself about these? Will he confess to himself one day? A bright smile suddenly appeared on Urza's face, and she nodded heavily. Yeah. I'm waiting for that day to come. She seemed to have energy again. If so, then you should support Naruto. Naruto, you have to work hard. Become an S-rank mage and go to the sky that belongs to you. She took Naruto's hand, and the expression on her face became very gentle. Naruto smiled and nodded. The next day, Miraji saw that Elsa's mood had improved again, and was very strange, and ran over and asked her, "Hey, weren't you very upset yesterday? You seem to be in a good mood today. Come, and I'll decide the winner." "I refuse, because I want to discuss the power of magic with Naruto," Urza said lightly, looking at Naruto next to her. "Cut. The power of magic can only be realized in practice. Come on, let's show you my strength." Mirage kept pulling her. Urza was impatient and felt very uncomfortable. "Hey, I said I didn't want to fight you." She stood up and said angrily. "Ha ha ha, that's right. Come on, make your voice louder. Let me see how much of your strength you can exert today." "Damn it, it's really annoying." Urza immediately stretched out her hand, holding a sharp long sword in her palm, and immediately became a ball with her. After a while, the two were already fighting in full swing, and Naruto sat on the side and watched with a smile on his face. He suddenly found out that Urza like this is not bad. The two girls were fighting back and forth, and Naruto also found it interesting. After a while, the two stopped. At this time, both of them had become embarrassed. Urza's armor was crooked, Mirage's skirt was torn, and their hair was messed up. But this scene, Naruto feels very energetic and youthful. "Hey, really, people like me are past this age," Naruto muttered while leaning back on the chair. The days will soon pass. On this day, the president came back, and he came back with a tall man who looked about 30 years old, with a stubble chin and a large black cape. He looked handsome, mighty, and full of momentum. He is the most powerful wizard in this guild, Gildas. His arrival means the start of the S-level assessment. On this day, the guild was crowded with people, tall and short, fat and thin, almost occupying the entire hall. And there are many faces in this hall that Naruto has never seen before. And these guys are also very strong. It seems that these are the powerhouses of the previous generation of fairy tale. Naruto is slightly excited. This is a very rare opportunity. If you can compete with these powerhouses, it will also be a very beneficial help to your magical cultivation. With this feeling in mind, I heard the president announce the start of the S-level assessment. Except for Naruto and Urza, who were only 12 or 13 years old, the members nominated to participate in this S-level assessment were all several years older than them, including Laxa. Existence. Laxus is still very unwilling to treat Naruto, so through this assessment, he has also regarded Naruto as an opponent that he must overcome. However, in this assessment, Naruto is determined to win. The first place for the assessment is within the guild, and the test on the theoretical basis of magic is conducted, that is, the written test. Regarding these knowledge, Naruto has read a lot of books in the past 2 years, and has some understanding of some theories and phenomena in the magic world, so he easily passed the written test and got a fairly average grade. Of course, it is still incomparable with some professionals. The next game is a battle between the two sides. Through the elimination system, half of the people are selected to continue to compete. Because only one person can pass the S-level assessment, this is a very harsh assessment method. For Naruto, though, it's pretty simple. Because his opponent immediately raised his hand and surrendered after hearing that Naruto was his competitor. This led him to simply pass the second test. Go straight to the third game. On the contrary, Urza had to overcome her opponent very hard, and only qualified for the third exam. And this third game, what the content is has not been announced. Makarov just said that he will not let everyone know until the next day. 651. Battle against Gildas. Early the next morning. Everyone gathered in the hall of the guild. There are 5 remaining contestants left. In addition to Urza and Naruto, there is also Laxus, and 2 other wizards, one tall and one short. Naruto only remembered that one of them was called Ram and the other was called Hager. Both of them were about the same age as Laxus, and they were several years older than Naruto and Urza. Looking at the three in front of him, Makarov had a gratified smile on his face. Among these 5 people, one is his grandson, and there are Urza and Naruto, 2 young but amazingly powerful guys. I think they are limitless in the future. There are still 5 people left, and the next arrangement is that the 5 of you will fight against Gildas together within the specified time. And after half an hour, the guy who can still stand is the one who can advance this time. The S-class mages. Of course, Gildas won't show any favors to you. Neither do you, Laxus. Cut. Don't pour water on me, Gildas, Laxus said coldly. I won't be merciful just because you are the grandson of the president. Gildas laughed. However, Naruto could feel the incomparable power from him. Oh, yes, except for Gildas, everyone in the guild can participate in this battle, that is to say, the 5 of you will face the challenge of the entire guild. Makarov added again. Suddenly a rule was added. Huh, everyone exclaimed in surprise. Among them, Mirage laughed. Everyone happy. Because, this proposal was made to the president early this morning, and it took him a long time to finally get him to agree to this proposal. And her ultimate goal is to participate in the battle and prevent Naruto from becoming an S-class wizard. Make him unable to accept the task on the second floor. Because, this is what she wants to do for Urza. Her strength is only stronger than Urza, so he wants to unite the 3 siblings and convince the rest of the guild to fight Naruto together. Give him the first uniform. This can be regarded as revenge for the revenge that he used to shock everyone with his strength. Call you arrogant. This time, my mother has made you unable to become an S-rank wizard. She believes that with the obstruction of most people and the oppression of Gildas, Naruto must have a hard time persevering. When Makarov announced the start of the 3rd game, everyone in the hall suddenly fell into silence. Because they haven't made this preparation yet, if they fight against strong men like Laxus and Naruto, the end is very obvious. Therefore, everyone present did not move. Gildas touched his head alone and smiled awkwardly. It seems that I can only fight alone. Hearing what he said, the people around suddenly ignited their fighting spirit again. What are they afraid of? It's a big deal to be beaten. How can a man give up his companions out of fear? Although Gildas is very strong, it should be difficult for him to deal with 5 by himself. As companions, everyone must share it. Therefore, when Gildas' voice just fell, most of the people rushed towards the 5 Naruto. At this time, a rune barrier suddenly appeared on the edge of the guild's wall. These were set up to prevent everyone from damaging the guild's wall. These text enchantments are relatively fragile. It seems that I can't use too much force. Gildas murmured with some distress. When others saw this, they had no worries. The guild's tables, chairs, and benches were not worth a lot of money anyway, so they could just hit and smash them, as long as the infrastructure walls and counters were not damaged. Therefore, after the enchantment rose, everyone deployed their strength and rushed towards the 5 people. Naruto went directly to Gildas and rushed towards him. For him, it is very meaningful to be able to fight against the strongest in this guild. Hey, Naruto, I heard that you are recognized as the strongest young generation in the guild. I don't know who is stronger than the old man like me. Smile. He could feel that Naruto's strength was very strong, and even a strong man like Laxus couldn't compare to him. Ice modeling magic ice sword. Naruto waved one hand, a cold air rose, and instantly condensed a flickering ice long sword in his hand. Is it ice magic? Gildas smiled. Just when Naruto's ice arrow fell in front of him, he gently stretched out his palm and faced it. The next moment, there was a crisp sound, and the ice sword in Naruto's hand suddenly shattered, turning into a stream of fine ice chips and dissipating. Naruto was slightly startled, stunned, and immediately said excitedly, "It's really amazing. Gildas. Your ice is also very strong." Gildas put on a fighting posture. Ice-shape magic frostbolt. Naruto waved his hands, and 2 magic circles emerged from each hand. Suddenly, one after another icy arrows shot out of them. The icy arrows flew into the sky, and suddenly appeared in a peculiar way on the top of Gilda's head. The trajectory is flying away. Gildas stretched out his palm, and it was smashing magic again. The ice arrows that flew in front of him were instantly smashed into ice chips, but at this moment, some of the ice arrows suddenly crossed a circular arc, as if they were controlled by Naruto and went around behind him. Gildas was slightly startled, and then a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. I saw his body shuddered violently, and an incomparably powerful magical energy suddenly spread out. The ice arrows that had just reached his back, as soon as they touched the magical energy emanating from him, instantly shattered into pieces. Ice chips. Your magic is really troublesome. Naruto frowned slightly. This kind of magic that can decompose substances with magic power is similar to Jinten particle style of the third-generation Tsuchikage in Hokage, and his smashing skills are more flexible than the third-generation Tsuchikage. If you put it in the past, it is really incomprehensible. Only now. Naruto smiled slightly, and suddenly his body flashed, and the next moment he suddenly appeared in front of Gildas. 652. Laxus is out. Naruto's speed was very fast. When he flashed in front of Gildas quickly, Gildas couldn't help being shocked. He didn't expect Naruto's speed and movement to be so agile. At this time, Naruto's fist has fallen towards him. This punch was just an ordinary punch, and Naruto didn't use much strength. Decomposition. Gildas snorted lightly, and opened his palm to meet Naruto's body. This is a magic that can decompose the opponent's body into several parts. It is not fatal to the enemy, and it can be restored at any time, but if he is hit by such a magic trick, Naruto probably won't be able to fight anymore. However, after Gilda's magical energy burst out from his palm, it immediately hit Naruto's fist. Did he not dodge? Gildas was stunned for a moment. Is this courting death? You must know how powerful his own magic is. He knows it perfectly. At a time like this, he had never seen anyone try it with the flesh. However, just when Gildas thought that Naruto was disqualified, he suddenly saw that Naruto's fist passed through his magic network without dodging, forcibly breaking through his magic. Come straight to yourself. His own magic had no effect on his body. Maybe the only effect is to decompose the clothes on his body into countless small clothes, and directly become a red fruit upper body. However, the consequence of this is that Gildas can no longer avoid Naruto's fist, and can only block it with his palm. Boom! With a muffled sound, an invisible wave of air erupted from the collision between the two fists and Gildas didn't move. Naruto didn't move. Suddenly, Naruto laughed. Gildas, I didn't expect your physical fitness to be very strong. I never let you think that a magician can't exercise. Gildas also laughed. Your magic power can actually resist my magic. It's really strong and terrifying. You must know that under normal circumstances, if magic cancels each other out, it can only happen when the magic power of both sides is similar, or there is some special defense magic. Naruto smiled lightly. Of course, he didn't use magic to resist his magic, but simply used his body to resist, because his body strength has reached the point where he can't even cut space turbulence, let alone this level of magic. Back then, even the dragon's powerful attack could be resisted by his body. However, since Gildas misunderstood it, he also felt that the special nature of this body was too buggy and should not be publicized. This time, it seemed that he was too excited, and he had to calm down. Thinking of this, he stepped back. Gildas stood there, looking at him excitedly. Naruto, who are you? I really doubt your age. At this age, the magic is so powerful, he said in surprise. In fact, the strength of Naruto's magic power is not necessarily stronger than that of Gildas. After all, Gildas has accumulated decades of practice, and the level of magic is really unfathomable. I am who I am. No one ever said that the cultivation of the magic way is related to age, right? Naruto smiled. Gildas was stunned for a moment when he heard the words, and his face couldn't help showing a look of surprise. What a thought-provoking insight. No wonder you can have such achievements at such a young age. He looked as if he hated seeing Naruto late. Okay, our battle seems to have affected other people. Naruto waved his hand and pouted to the side. Gildas turned his head to look, couldn't help laughing, and saw everyone around him with their mouths wide open, watching the scene where he and Naruto were fighting, and all of them had excited 8 trigrams expressions on their faces, as if they were thinking about it very much. Watch Naruto and Gildas fight so much that he forgets his duty. Milaji shouted from the side, "You guys hurry up and fuck me." What's wrong? Are you embarrassed? It's really useless, right? This is too bad. Naruto is actually so strong. You can also fight head-to-head with the strongest characters in the guild like Gildas. This is simply unbelievable. However, although she was shocked, she still knew her purpose in the end. She wanted to stop Naruto. Confuse him as much as possible. Why didn't I smack Gildas while he was fighting him? Hey, if this happens, he will definitely lose, right? With this thought in mind, Mirage stood with everyone first, silently watching the battle between Naruto and Gildas. However, at this time, the other people were very dissatisfied, especially Laxus. He really wanted to fight against him, but it seemed that Naruto took everyone's role all of a sudden. This is a 5-player battle. How did it become 1-on-1? He bit Kiba bitterly, and unwillingly, his magic power skyrocketed, and his body seemed to turn into lightning, suddenly appeared behind Gildas and attacked him. Gildas smiled slightly and said in a low voice, "Laxus, although your strength is very strong, I don't want to play with you anymore. I want to fight Naruto. So, sorry." At this time, Laxus was already close to his back, and the thunderlight in his hand smashed towards him fiercely. However, at this moment, Gildas suddenly turned around and pushed the palms of both hands forward sharply. Before Laxus' movement fell on him, he was already pressed by Gildas' palms. "Belly. You stay on the side for now," Gildas said. The next moment, the magic was activated. Breakdown. In an instant, Laxus' body turned into countless little people the size of a palm, and fell to the ground. Everyone's jaw dropped. Laxus was actually killed by Gildas in one move. Moreover, it has been broken down into so many villains. Everyone can't believe that Laxus has such an experience. Looking at the guy who used to be very arrogant, but now it has become like countless villains jumping in the same place. No matter how you look at it, it is very funny. 653. A stage for one person. Okay, who else is coming up? Gildas clapped his hands as if he had done a trivial thing. Urza and the other 2 contestants. You look at me, I look at you, were speechless for a while. Hey, Gildas, you are doing this wrong, right? How can you be so cruel to Laxus? Now he is out of the game. President Makarov shouted helplessly. Hey, I got a little excited for a while. If you want to blame Naruto, President. Gildas smiled. It's none of my business. Naruto smiled lightly, and he glanced at Laxus. I'm fighting with Gildas, you brought it on yourself. Laxus was full of anger, and countless little people were jumping and jumping over there. Naruto said to Urza and the other 2 contestants again, I think you should not come up first. This unscrupulous uncle doesn't seem to know how to be merciful. Hey, how can you say that to me, kid? I'll knock you down with all my strength. Gildas shouted in dissatisfaction. Then try it. I also want to study your power. Naruto's mouth twitched slightly, and he suddenly revealed an inscrutable smile. This guy, what does this mean? Gildas was a little confused. Immediately shook his head and stopped thinking about it, and turned to Naruto seriously and said, then I really have to go all out. My magic is smashing. The one I used on you just now is disintegration, even if it is a hit. You can recover, but if you smash, you have to be prepared to be killed by me at any time. You can't kill me. Naruto smiled indifferently. He was indeed qualified to say this. In the eyes of Gildas, Naruto has now become an existence of the same level as him, so he will use all his strength. However, under full strength, it is easy to cause accidental injuries, and his magic is shattering this almost destructive force. The two belligerent madmen started fighting on their own. The surrounding guild members could only watch from the sidelines, daring not to intervene. Gildas said that he would fight seriously. If he rushed blindly, wouldn't he be courting death? Is this a lie? How could Gildas use all his strength against Naruto? Could it be that Naruto is so strong? Someone shouted in disbelief. Didn't you see that the two of them seemed to be evenly matched just now? Is Naruto really that strong? This is too unacceptable. There were bursts of discussion from the surrounding people. Although Urza is a competitor of Naruto, she is very proud to see that he is so powerful that he can fight against Gildas, as if she is so powerful and praised by others. Gildas, is it really okay to turn this exam into our personal battlefield? Naruto asked as he and Gildas fisted each other and kept fighting. Gildas didn't say a word, suddenly backed away, and solemnly said to Naruto, "You can still speak in this situation just now, it seems that your strength has not been fully revealed. Be serious, or you will really be killed by me." It seems that he is very dissatisfied with Naruto's perfunctory performance. Hearing this, Naruto smiled helplessly. Of course, he also wanted to have a good fight with Gildas, but just when he came into contact with his smashing magic, he suddenly had some insight. His smashing magic is a magic that can separate the atoms of matter from atoms, which is similar to the bloodstain elimination in the Hokage world, Jinten particle style. And Jinten particle style is a combination of three attributes of nature transformation. Earth plus wind plus fire, the energy of the three attributes is combined to form a power beyond Kekkei Genkai. It is a technique that can break down substances into molecular size. In other words, this is the same type as Gildas's art. And Naruto is now trying to use this ninjutsu. At this time, Gildas saw that Naruto seemed to be thinking about other things, and he was immediately dissatisfied. Is this kid still underestimating himself? Get serious for me, destroying evil and showing justice, one soul. A heavy magic energy lingered on his fist, and Gildas used a stunt. He was confident that no matter how strong it was, it would not can you ignore such an attack. Seeing this, Naruto also showed a solemn expression on his face. Although his body is very strong, he has to deal with the strength of Gildas's fist so seriously. Reaching out his hands, crossed them in front of his chest, Naruto intends to use his arms to stop it. You really underestimate me, Naruto, Gildas snorted, and a magical storm emanated from him, shaking the ground around him, and the magic guide standing around him. Gentlemen, I just feel an incomparably heavy and depressing force in the air pressing down on my body, it's almost as if I can't breathe. Too terrifying. Is this the power of Gildas? Why so strong? However, this guy Naruto can actually fight him head-on. At this moment, everyone's heart could not help but raise such a thought, where is Naruto sacred? Where did he get so much power? Laxus was also stunned. In front of high-end power, everyone knew how weak they were. Boom. Finally, Gildas' fist hit Naruto's crossed arms. A burst of incomparably powerful energy suddenly erupted in place, and the ground of the guild under the feet of Gildas and Naruto was directly smashed into slag, shrouded in a powerful magic energy. The figures of the two were almost completely submerged in energy. Gollum. Everyone secretly swallowed their saliva and watched nervously as the energy storm finally dissipated, revealing the figures of the two of them. Seeing Naruto unscathed, with his hands crossed, he slowly raised his head to look at Gildas in front of him and said, "Is this all your power?" Gildas's body shook suddenly, and then he took a step back in disbelief. Impossible. Didn't you take a step back? He looked at Naruto's feet, only to realize that although the ground beneath the two of them shattered, his position remained the same. 654. Ice Dragon Slayer Magic. If I retire, it will prove that I am not as good as you. Naruto grinned and said excitedly, "This power is really strong. But, is it time to try my magic? I'm not willing to be beaten by you blindly." Naruto laughed. Suddenly, an icy aura burst out from his arms, and this icy aura, like a sharp edge, instantly surrounded Naruto's two arms. Let you taste magic other than my ice shape magic. Ice Dragon Slayer magic. Ice Dragon Boxing. Naruto gave a light drink, and the next moment, his two fists suddenly hit Kildas's face fiercely. With an extremely cold breath, the surrounding temperature dropped suddenly. Under this breath, many people even shivered coldly. However, everyone's faces were full of stunned expressions. Because they heard Dragon Slayer magic. It turns out that Naruto can also kill dragon magic. This was like a thunderbolt from the blue, shaking everyone to the point where they couldn't find their way. Naruto has been using modeling magic all these years, but it turns out that he is also hiding dragon slaying magic. This is simply unbelievable. Is it actually dragon slaying magic? It really scared me. Gildas was also shocked by the magic used by Naruto, and he quickly stretched out his hands to stop his attack and said. With a bang, the icy air lingered on Naruto's fist. After hitting Kildas's arm was instantly frozen. It's so cold. The ice dragon's dragon-slaying magic. It's as special as Natsu's fire dragon. Kildas pushed Naruto away for a while, sending out smashing magic, sealing his arm with ice. The ice cubes were smashed into slag, and he muttered. However, Naruto's attack didn't stop there. Just as Gildas forced him back, he opened his mouth, and an ice-blue strange magic circle shone in front of his mouth. Next, the ice dragons. Roar. The magic power in Naruto's body surged out, and suddenly an extremely strong whirlwind of ice was ejected from his mouth. The range of the whirlwind is very large, almost penetrating the entire guild. The frightened people fled away, but they were also forced by this icy aura, trembling all over, and they only felt that the guild seemed to have become a world of ice and snow. Is this the true power of Naruto? It turns out that he is the Dragon Slayer. I didn't see his full power until today. Makarov sighed in his heart that one of the purposes of this assessment was to let Gildas test Naruto's strength, but he never expected that Naruto's strength was far beyond his expectations. Even the magic of Gildas can be blocked, and it can also emit such a powerful dragon-killing magic. Although the purpose of this assessment has been achieved, it seems that it is difficult to end it. He shook his head in distress and continued to watch the battle between the two. The same is true for the others, who were all attracted by the battle between Naruto and Gildas, and watched their battle with rapt attention. This exam has become a stage for Naruto alone. Several other contestants, including Urza, all became irrelevant. However, the one with the most complicated mood among the crowd was Mirage. She originally wanted to take part in a temporary kick and defeat Naruto. But now, how can I get involved? The aftermath of the battle between these two has already made him feel powerless to raise his hand. It's really hard to imagine how he should make a move. A feeling of powerlessness and unwillingness arises spontaneously. The battle continues, and Naruto and Gildas are almost at a stalemate. Naruto used the dragon-slaying magic in succession, but the smashing of Gildas could stop it every time, but neither of them could use their magic to cause damage to the other. In fact, Naruto knew in his heart that in terms of magical power, Gildas's magic was stronger than his own, and he only relied on the feature that his body could resist ultra-high-intensity power, and he was deadlocked until now. However, Gildas was also very shocked by Naruto's magic, and its intensity reached the level that he had to deal with it carefully. If one is not careful, it is very likely that his image of being wise in martial arts will collapse. This battle lasted for 20 minutes, and no one around dared to intervene. They seemed to have changed from participants to bystanders with peace of mind. Only Laxus and the others felt very uncomfortable. All the limelight was robbed by Naruto, this brat. According to this situation, Naruto is definitely the only S-rank mage this year. However, there is absolutely no suspense about this. If you can compete with Gildas to such a degree, if you can't enter the S rank, it will really make people puzzled. Mirage was very upset when he watched the scene where Naruto made Kamui, which was comparable to Gildas. Is your plan really going to fail? This is really frustrating. Are you going to be intimidated by him for the rest of your life? Cannot be done. You might as well let yourself die. Never allow anyone to climb on your head. When she thought about the scene where she was actually shocked by this guy that day, she felt ashamed when she thought about it. This kind of shame must be brutally abused back. Mirage thought to himself. Suddenly, Naruto and Kildes retreated together. Both of them were slightly out of breath. Naruto's magic power was almost used up. Compared with Kildes, there is indeed some gap. Although I am a little out of breath now, the intensity of the magic power has not weakened at all. Naruto, it seems that your magic power has bottomed out. Kildes said suddenly. Yes, but 30 minutes will come soon, right? Next, as long as I hold on for a while and don't fall down, I can become an S-rank mage, right? Naruto smiled slightly, although his magic power was not enough to fight, but the physical quality is still there. Even if you use physical techniques to fight against the opponent, you will not necessarily lose. 655. A sudden accident. Hey, it's a shame that an old man and a brat like you can't beat you after fighting for so long. It seems that I have to go all out in the future. Kildes said. You know that my magic power is not enough, why don't you put some water? Naruto said speechlessly. Hey, I've never released water. Kildes really sticks to his principles. Really? Then I can only use other methods. Naruto laughed suddenly. Oh, could it be that you can resist my magic without magic? Kildes said with a smug smile. I'm not stupid enough to let you fight. I just wanted to test my strength. Now, of course, the most important thing is to complete the test requirements. Naruto said lightly. Really? Then let me see how much strength you still have to resist. Kildes suddenly rushed to Naruto's side, clenched his fists, and smashed the magic. However, Naruto's body suddenly moved away from him quickly, and Kildes' fist just hit Naruto's afterimage. Your attack is too monotonous. Naruto's figure appeared behind Kildes. It turns out that your speed can be so fast. This surprised me again. Kildes turned around suddenly, his arm opened again, and the shattered magic net suddenly opened, smashing Naruto's entire body. All covered in it. This magical net seems to be shrouded in a semicircle, and Naruto can only step back again, but the back is already the edge of the technique, and he will touch it when he moves. In this case, Naruto is almost unable to dodge. Great, this guy is about to lose. Mirage cheered. While the others looked at him nervously, Ursa couldn't help but worry about him. Can Naruto, who lacks magic power, resist Kildes' magic? If he couldn't resist, wouldn't he be killed instantly? However, everyone doesn't know, only the two who really fight know what kind of attack can kill people. Kildes knows that although the smashing magic is very strong, it is also the same when encountering opponents of the same level. Impossible to kill instantly. And he has already regarded Naruto as an opponent of the same level, so he has no scruples in making shots, because he believes that Naruto will not die so easily. At this critical moment, Naruto's body suddenly turned into an ice sculpture, and the next moment, the entire ice sculpture was smashed into nothingness by magic. The next moment, Naruto's figure appeared behind Kildes. Kildes turned around, looked at him, and asked strangely, "What kind of magic is this?" Naruto smiled lightly. "It's okay to tell you, this is my original magic, the ice substitute technique, a magic that can instantly replace the nearby ice cubes with your real body." Of course, he didn't tell the truth. This is actually the most common substitute technique, but the substance used is ice. It's a good magic to escape. Kildes laughed. Isn't it shameful to run for one's life? If you can't beat it, you have to run away. This is normal, right? Just rushing around blindly, not knowing the difference in strength between the two sides, is this a brain-dead idea? Naruto said. That's right, a very mature idea, as expected of someone who can have such strength at a young age. You have the heart of a strong man. Kildes nodded in agreement. Naruto pouted. Kildes charged up again and launched a series of indiscriminate bombings on Naruto. And Naruto used his approaching movement to avoid the attack of Kildes every time. Even if Kildes' power was used unexpectedly, he could still avoid it in danger. The light and graceful movement makes everyone dazzled. Naruto can actually delay for so long just by dodging. It's almost time. It seems that there is no suspense for him to become an S-rank mage. Everyone exclaimed. At this moment, Mirage among the crowd was very unwilling. At this time, she realized that if her plan was not implemented, she would really have no chance in the future. Do you want to be pressed on top of her head for the rest of her life? Cannot be done. Absolutely not. Your self-esteem will never allow such a thing to happen. Just when everyone was exclaiming, she narrowed her beautiful eyes slightly, staring closely at the movements of Naruto and Gildas. You should do something yourself. For Urza's sake, and for myself, I must stop Naruto. At this moment, Naruto and Gildas have reached the most critical moment. Around Naruto's body, 3 magic nets cover him from 3 different directions. In this way, Naruto's way was blocked in an instant, leaving only the last position. And not far from that direction, another magic web of Gildas has been brewing. Ready. At this moment, Mirage, who saw the opportunity, suddenly rushed towards Naruto. She gave a light drink and used her specialty magic, Receive Magic, the Hand of Satan. In an instant, her 2 jade arms turned into 2 demon-like claws. Just when Naruto flashed the 3 shattering magic nets, he reached out and grabbed Naruto's feet. Naruto, Gildas and everyone around were shocked by this sudden scene. Many people didn't react, until Naruto was flung out by Mirage's hands and slammed into the magic net that just flew towards Naruto. Mirage attacked Naruto. How is this going? What is Mirage doing? Urza couldn't help but get furious, so Naruto was going to be hit. With his current state of magic, he will definitely be injured. In that case, wouldn't it be impossible to pass the S-rank assessment? Why did Mirage do this? Did she plan this for a long time? Hateful. This guy. If Naruto has 3 strengths and 2 weaknesses, he will never forgive her. Urza was full of worry and anger. And others, too, did not understand Mirage's approach. Although the regulations of the exam are to allow everyone to go together, but the battle between Naruto and Gildas is going to this point, it would be too unkind if everyone still intervenes. Everyone couldn't bear to see Mirage's actions. Watching Naruto being thrown at the magic smashing net of Gildas, everyone clenched tightly in their hearts. Even many girls who longed for Naruto had already covered their eyes and dared not watch the scene of Naruto's defeat. Of course, they also scolded Mirage in their hearts 180 times. However, just when everyone thought that Naruto had absolutely nothing to do, Naruto's body suddenly flashed a burst of thunder. The next moment, lightning flashed, and Naruto's figure turned into a flash of lightning and disappeared before Gildas' smashing magic. No, to be precise, his speed is so fast that people mistake it for lightning. In this way, he avoided the attack of Gildas. Naruto actually hides such a life-saving skill. While everyone exhaled slightly, they were also full of admiration. In Naruto's body, it seems that there are countless unknown powers lurking, which can always bring unexpected surprises to everyone. And Naruto himself also secretly exhaled, and secretly said that it was dangerous, if he imitated Raikage and used ninjutsu at the critical moment, stimulated the whole body with the power of thunder and lightning, and achieved the effect of speeding up. Maybe now did you hit it already? Raising his head and dodging the magic net, Naruto looked at the culprit angrily, Mirage. However, as soon as he lifted it up, the look on his face was suddenly startled. 656. Mirage apologizes. It turned out that at this time, in front of the culprit Mirage, the magic smashing net released by Gildas was rapidly covering her body with the original trajectory. This magic net was originally intended to hit Naruto, but was dodged instantly by Naruto's ninjutsu, and the front was exactly where Mirage was located. At this time, Mirage also sensed the extremely dangerous force in front of him. Falling on her would definitely be a direct result of smashing to death. At this time, it was too late for everyone to be surprised by Naruto's thunder magic, because Mirage was encountering the most dangerous attack. Everyone exclaimed. Sister. Lisina and Elfman couldn't help shouting. In this situation, my sister couldn't escape. Kilduff's attack was not fatal to Naruto, but to Mirage, it was definitely life and death. What a shame. What is this girl doing? Gildas was also very anxious in his heart. Of course he knew how strong his magic was, but the magic that was launched, even he couldn't change it now. Everyone could only watch helplessly as Meowligi was smashed to pieces. Although she rushed up to attack Naruto by herself, she was everyone's companion no matter what. Even if she was willful and mischievous, how could everyone just watch her die in front of her eyes? It's a pity that everyone has no choice at this time. In the next second, the magic net will fall on her delicate body. Mirage's face already showed a look of horror. At this moment, she was responsible for the mistakes she made, and she was going to pay the price of her life for her impulsive mindlessness. There seemed to be a strong remorse and unwillingness in her eyes. She was thinking that if she hadn't gone up to attack Naruto, she wouldn't have encountered such danger, and she wouldn't have paid the price with her life. At this moment, she seemed to feel that her body had returned to nothingness, and her consciousness was instantly shattered. However, at the next moment, a thunder light suddenly flashed in front of her, instantly crossing a distance of more than 10 meters, and flashing in front of her at a speed faster than that of the magic net. It's Naruto. Stimulate the body with the power of thunder and lightning, so that the body's speed, flexibility and responsiveness can reach the best state, and finally catch up in a close call. However, as soon as he caught up, Mirage didn't have time to see Naruto's figure, when Naruto opened his arms and slammed into his arms, and rushed forward. And the magic net of Kildas has fallen on Naruto's back with a bang. The bodies of the two fell towards the front. Naruto pressed her to the ground at once. Mirage slammed her back on the ground with a bang, and she was shocked. Looking up, he saw Naruto's face close at hand. There seemed to be a trace of cold sweat on his face, his arms on the ground, and he looked down at her. Huh, it's really dangerous. Are you all right? Naruto exhaled a long breath, and the thunder light on his body dissipated. Although the smashing magic power fell on him, it did not cause any damage to him, and he also let Mirage escape because he held Mirage in his arms. Mirage stared at him blankly, her long white hair resting on her tender jade face, and she said in a daze, "It's all right." Only then did she realize that she was rescued by Naruto. Naruto stood up, took her jade hand to help her up, frowned and said, "It's fine, don't do this kind of meaningless stupid thing next time. Do you understand?" The tone of the lesson made Mirage unable to refute any thoughts to refute. At this time, in addition to shock, her heart was only grateful. The people around, after seeing Naruto's move to save Mirage in an instant, after a slight stun, they immediately cheered with great excitement. "That's great, Naruto, thanks to you. Otherwise, we'll have one less person in our union." Kana ran up and grabbed his hand, checked his back for him, and asked with concern, "Is your back all right? It must be painful to get hit by Gildas, right?" The others also gathered around and pushed Mirage out. Elsa breathed a sigh of relief. What a mess. "Fortunately, you are all right." Facing everyone's concern and greetings, Naruto responded one by one with a smile on his face. At this time, the guild leader came over. The surrounding surgical barrier was untied. He came to Naruto, reached out and patted his shoulder. "Naruto, you are qualified. I approve you to become this year's class. A promoted S-rank wizard." After Makarov finished speaking, he looked at him with a look of relief. Kildas also came over, touched his head and smiled awkwardly. "Naruto, I was a little excited just now, didn't it hurt you?" "Of course not, let's continue next time," Naruto said with a faint smile. "Haha, I knew you wouldn't get hurt so easily. Your strength is really strong. But next time I will continue to cultivate and improve, and I will never be surpassed by you, haha." He laughed heartily. Seeing how everyone surrounded Naruto, Mirage, who was squeezed out of the crowd, looked at him silently. Silver Kiba bit her tightly, and her face was full of self-blame and remorse. "Sister, Listener suddenly took her hand and comforted her softly. Sister, find a chance to apologize to Naruto. Don't fight him again, this time it's him saved you. Mirage looked stunned, and then nodded slightly. At this time, everyone who had greeted Naruto looked at Mirage, and everyone frowned more or less and looked at her with reproach. It seems that her actions really aroused everyone's disgust. Originally, she would suffer the consequences. If Naruto didn't save her, I'm afraid it would have turned to ashes now. Mirage also realized her mistake. Next, she came to Naruto and knelt down on his knees in public. Sorry, Naruto. Naruto looked at her kneeling in front of him, and hurriedly stretched out his hand to help her up and said, Okay, although I don't know why you made such a mistake, but in the end we are all fine, right? I forgive you this time. I hope you don't be prejudiced against me next time. 657. Carnival Celebration. Naruto of course knew that Mirage's previous actions were not really trying to kill him, but wanting to take the opportunity to cause trouble for himself. Because Mirage was not murderous when he rushed up, so Naruto forgave her. Just treat it as a little girl who is ignorant and willful. Mind-blowing thought. Mirage's publicity and kneel down to apologize to Naruto, which made everyone see her sincerity and remorse. After Naruto forgave her, everyone no longer blamed her. Seeing Naruto and everyone being so tolerant towards her, Mirage's eyes were wet, and she couldn't help shedding tears of emotion. She threw herself into Naruto's arms and hugged her tightly, choking and crying. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Thank you, thank you. She has been unable to express the thoughts in her heart, self-blame, remorse, joy, moving, and a trace of unspeakable feeling surging in her chest, so complicated that she hugged Naruto tightly and buried her head in his arms. They hadn't been separated for a long time. After a while, she left Naruto's embrace with Yuhi's face, looked up at him quietly, and then walked away. Next, President Makarov announced that Naruto had become an S-class mage, and said that he would prepare a celebration party for him, and everyone would have a carnival tonight. This ending should be the most satisfying for everyone, right? Everyone seemed to have forgotten the originally tense exam and the thrilling scene of Mirage just now, and they were all happy for the next carnival. That day, the night was getting up, and the hall of the guild was crowded with people. This time the protagonist is Naruto. He was the center of the celebration. Everyone came to apologize to him one by one, some people even loosened some gifts, and even girls rushed over to kiss him. The atmosphere was very lively. The guild sang and danced, chatted and drank, and it became a place like a bar and karaoke hall, where everyone could relax and entertain. Everything in the morning seemed to have been forgotten. This is a really nice group of people. Naruto sat on the side and sighed with emotion while drinking the hot tea Urza made herself. Yeah, Naruto, I originally thought everyone would have an opinion on Mirage after this incident, but now I think about it too much. Urza pointed to the happy chatting and laughing with several girls. Mirage rode. Yeah, Naruto nodded. To him, it was indeed a very small thing, but to Mirage, that morning thing she would not forget so easily. But everyone has accepted Mirage's apology and has forgiven her, which is reassuring. At this time, Gildas suddenly appeared next to Naruto, holding a glass of wine in his hand. He smiled and said, Naruto, I didn't expect you to use thunder magic. Not only did you master the Ice Dragon Slayer when you were young, magic can still use the energy of the thunder system. This is unbelievable. Naruto smiled and said nothing. If you tell him that he knows all magic, he will probably dissect himself right away. Okay, I'm not going to disturb you now. Seeing Naruto just smiling, Gildas thought he was disturbing his relationship with Urza. Wisely walked away. Urza's tender face gave a slight yuhi, and she glared at Gildas. After a long time, everything finally quieted down, and it was late at night. I saw that the hall of the trade union was full of people. Some were drunk, some were tired from playing and fell asleep, and few were awake. Because this carnival was for Naruto, Urza did not leave. Although she was very sleepy afterward, she continued to stay in the guild. After everyone fell asleep, she was already very sleepy. Go to sleep. Naruto got a little drunk after being drunk by Kana before, so he fell asleep on the table long ago. Urza looked at him sleeping, and carried him back home. She didn't want to sleep in the guild all night. Carrying Naruto on her back, Urza finally walked out of the guild. Looking at the empty streets, she couldn't help but feel a little tangled again. Should she go to her house or his house behind his back? After thinking for a while, Urza went to Naruto's house. When the two arrived at Naruto's house, Urza was already tired and sleepy. After laying him down on the bed, she looked at him asleep. Looking at it, she suddenly fell asleep, and it was not until the next morning that she found herself lying in bed. She touched her body and sat up in shock, only to realize that she was actually sleeping on Naruto's bed. But Naruto was nowhere to be seen. The sun was very high outside the window, it seemed it was getting late. Naruto, she suddenly shouted angrily. The door opened, Naruto walked in with a smile on his face, and asked, Urza, you're awake. Did you help me carry it back yesterday? It's really hard for you. Elsa asked directly, where's my armor? Where's my armor? What? Naruto was stunned. Why did the armor on my body take off? Did you do it? Urza shouted angrily. Yeah, when I woke up in the early morning, I found you fell asleep on my bed, and the iron lump was still pressing on me. I had to remove it for you and let you sleep in the quilt by the way. Naruto laughed. But you don't have to look at me like that, I didn't treat you like that. You bastard, Urza suddenly screamed. What is this with what? I kindly sent him home, but he did such a thing to himself. So obscene. Can girls take off their clothes? He actually took off his armor without his permission. Who knows if he moved his hands or feet when he took off his clothes. The more Urza thought about it, the more Yuhi her jade face became, and her ears were almost pierced by Yuhi. Hey, you don't have to do this, right? Didn't you just sleep? Naruto saw Yuhi's face with shame and anger, and couldn't help but be a little speechless. Urza won't think again, right? What do you mean by, don't you just take a nap? You took off my clothes. It's not like I haven't taken it off. Naruto muttered. Elsa was speechless, which reminded her of the scene at the seaside. It's abominable. Has he always been so casual? 658. Farewell. This is your armor. I bought breakfast and put it in the living room outside. Let's wash up and eat it. Naruto pointed to the silver-gray iron helmet next to him and said. This is the one that Urza wears most often. Naruto woke up last night and felt something hard pressing against him. After discovering that it was Urza, he hurriedly helped her take off her armor, and then pulled into the bed and fell asleep. Of course, he had never done anything. Although a girl of 12 or 13 years old had already begun to develop, Naruto had no such thoughts. And he woke up early in the morning. In order not to wake Urza, he secretly got up and bought breakfast. Elsa waved her hand, and the armor on the side disappeared. With a flash of light on her body, she had already changed into a set of white armor. She lifted the quilt and got out of bed. Naruto looked at her. Urza, wear armor as soon as you wake up. Why don't you change into ordinary clothes? I'm not used to it. Urza shook her head, and I'm going back. This is Naruto's house. It's unbelievable for her to spend a night here. Generally speaking, the toiletry utensils here are all Naruto's. Don't you finish breakfast? I'm going back to wash up. Urza glared at him, her face Yuhi leaving and coming to Naruto's house. I always feel that Urza has an inexplicable distance from herself, but she seems very close. Naruto touched his nose and thought. A new day has come, and Naruto has finally become an S-rank mage. He is the youngest S-rank mage in this guild. This will be recorded in the annals of fairy tale. Exciting news. Therefore, the magic world also quickly learned the news that in the S-class mage exam held by Fairy Tail, a teenager who was only 12 or 13 years old was successfully promoted. This news is like a gust of wind, which swept the entire magic world in an instant. This is a once-in-a-century genius in the magic world. Even the council has people paying attention to Naruto, and there are many people from other guilds who come here, wanting to see Naruto's strong style. It can be said that because of the appearance of Naruto, the reputation of the Fairy Tail Guild has become even louder. However, in the past 2 days, Naruto is going to accept the task on the second floor, to accept new challenges, and to go to other places. Urza also became very disappointed and gloomy. Because Naruto is leaving, but there is nothing she can do, she can't stop him from leaving, and there is no strong reason for him to stay, and she also knows that she can't hinder his pursuit of power. Finally, the day has come. After Naruto took over the next mission, he informed the president and said goodbye to all the guild members present. Kana came up with a glass of wine, holding back her tears and seeing him off. Naruto, I heard that your mission will take a long time. I hope you will be safe. Come back and drink with me. I will definitely wait for you. She smiled brightly, but there were tears in her eyes. Spin around. Urza said nothing, lowered her head, came to him, and said in a low voice, don't forget to come back. Be sure to come back often. There are everyone here, and I'm here. And Grena's elfman Lysina and others came to say goodbye. Naruto smiled and responded to everyone. Only one figure stood silently and did not step forward. Mirage, the girl who did things that hurt him that day. However, just as Naruto stepped out of the guild gate, Mirage suddenly stopped him. Naruto, wait a minute. Naruto turned his head and looked at her. Mirage separated the crowd, suddenly walked towards him, and stood in front of him. What's the matter? Is there anything you want to say? Looking at this usually domineering girl, it seemed a little different at this time. Mirage raised his head and looked at him fixedly, with a strange look in his eyes, and Naruto looked a little hairy. Suddenly, she suddenly stood on tiptoe and pressed towards Naruto. The next moment, her moist soft lips were printed on Naruto's face at once. Take a sip. Kissed. Naruto was stunned, everyone was stunned, and Urza was even more shocked. Naruto touched her face and looked at her speechlessly. Naruto, I must express my heart to you before you leave. Mirage looked at him seriously and said. No way, how could this happen? At this moment, everyone exclaimed in disbelief. Mirage went to kiss Naruto. Doesn't she hate Naruto very much? Could it be that her attitude towards Naruto has undergone a 180-degree change because of the incident that he saved her that day? Amid the exclamations of the crowd, Mirage suddenly took out a pendant from herself. There was a small magic crystal hanging on the pendant. She put it on Naruto's neck and said softly, it's an amulet given to me by my parents. I hope it can keep you safe and complete your mission and experience. I'll be waiting for you in the guild. The voice is extraordinarily gentle, as if it is not the arrogant and domineering Mirage, which makes people feel an illusion. Naruto was stunned for a few seconds, and finally came to his senses, nodded to her, and smiled. Thank you, Mirage. No, it's me who should thank you. You saved my life. Mirage shook his head. A hint of Yuhi dizziness suddenly appeared on his face, and warned, you must never mess with flowers outside. Oh. Whoa whoa whoa. Everyone in the guild roared and coaxed when they heard the conversation between the two. This was simply unbelievable. Mirage, who has always been rebellious, was actually tamed by Naruto. To actually speak to him so gently at this time is simply enviable. At this time, the most unpleasant were Urza and Kana, who were about to shoot out anger when they looked at Mirage. I haven't even kissed Naruto. Mirage actually kissed him. It's really maddening. Urza was so depressed that she was going crazy. I can't wait to rush up and beat her up immediately. 659. After leaving. Naruto left. After everyone sent him away, the mood dropped. Urza didn't even want to go to Mirage to fight. She sighed slightly and returned to her dormitory. Mirage also seemed to have something on his mind. Although he was still irritable, it was obvious that sometimes he would be in a daze when he was quiet. Kana's alcohol intake has suddenly skyrocketed in the past few days. She seems to have a dissatisfied belly, which makes people feel terrified. Naruto doesn't know about these things. Although he also felt a little reluctant to say goodbye to everyone and leave, life in the guild was indeed relatively relaxed and comfortable. However, he has more important things to do, he has more difficult goals to achieve. Therefore, he had no reason to spend peacefully in the guild. It's time to go out for a walk. He already has enough knowledge about the world when he was in the guild, and now it's time to experience it for himself. This mission is a century mission. Except for the president, no one else knew about this matter. If Urza and the others knew about it, they would definitely be very worried. So, it's better to hide it than that. However, Naruto, of course, would not be so impatient to complete the 100-year mission, and he also thought that it would be difficult for him to do it with his current strength. After all, the so-called 100-year mission is a mission that no one can complete in 100 years in this magical world. And the content of this mission is to go to the deep sea to find the giant dragon lurking in the bottom of the sea. Find the artifact guarded by the water dragon, the Poseidon's halberd. It is not difficult for Naruto to dive into the bottom of the sea, but it is absolutely impossible to get the artifact guarded by the water dragon on the bottom of the sea. Centennial Mission, Visible Amatera. However, Naruto is not in a hurry. He first plans to go to other places to have a look, go to other guilds, see more and stronger wizards, and realize more power in this world. Moreover, he hasn't seen Ulu for a year. I wonder how she is doing alone in the extreme cold. Of course, I promised Wendy to visit her every once in a while. Now that I think about it, I haven't seen her for a long time. It seems like it's been over a year. I wonder if the girl will be surprised when she sees her. Yourself. Thinking of this, the corners of Naruto's mouth couldn't help showing a slight arc. Along the way, Naruto stopped and went. Every time he went to a city or village, he would stay here for a few days, and then wandered around while practicing, seeing some of the strong people in these places, and drawing from their magic. Some of my own experiences. Being alone and having no fixed place to live is also a very free feeling. On this day, he finally came to the Demon Cat's house, which was the guild where Wendy was. I have been to this place twice. The first time was when I entrusted Wendy here more than 2 years ago, and the second time I happened to pass by here when I was doing a mission more than a year ago, and also visited Wendy by the way. It has been almost a year and a half since then. Thinking of what Wendy had promised herself at the time to visit her often, she couldn't help feeling a little guilty. When finding Wendy in the guild, Naruto saw that she was playing with a white kitten who was standing on the table and seemed to be talking to her. Wendy was holding a poster in her hand, looking for the information on it. She didn't seem to know most of those words, but she was able to understand a little bit when someone helped explain them. At this moment, she just happened to find a piece of news, and suddenly jumped up in surprise and called at the kitten, "Shalulu. Look at you, brother Naruto, he has become an S-rank magician. It's amazing." "Well, I see, Wendy, can you forget about that Naruto brother? Otherwise, I'll be jealous," Kitty said dissatisfiedly. Wendy spit out her pink tongue after hearing this, and giggled, "Okay. It's okay, Shalulu, don't always have an opinion on big brother Naruto." "Cut, I didn't have an opinion, but you kept calling him in my ear all day long, I'm getting bored." The kitten named Shalulu snorted. "Well, but I just can't help it." Wendy pursed her mouth and muttered aggrievedly, "He hasn't seen me for a long time, will he forget me?" "Well, 80% probably forgot. I heard that there are many beautiful girls in the fairy tale guild." Shalulu smiled maliciously. "Ah, I don't want me, Summer Lulu, don't scare me. Hey, down." At this moment, Naruto's voice suddenly sounded beside Wendy and Shalulu. "You bad cat, how can you scare Wendy like this?" One person and one cat couldn't help but be stunned. Looking at Chi-Chi, Wendy raised her head and saw Naruto's face. She was surprised. "Naruto brother." Wendy let out a coquettish cry, and the next moment, without wiping away the tears on her face, she threw herself into Naruto's arms, leaned her pretty face tightly on his body, grabbed his clothes tightly with both hands, and choked, "Really great. Naruto brother, you came to see me. Wendy thought you forgot about me." Naruto smiled and touched her head, with a look of love on his face. "Wendy, I'm sorry, I haven't seen you for more than a year, are you okay? Is this kitten your pet?" Wendy raised her head and nodded heavily. "I'm not good at all. I miss you every day, Naruto brother, is all your fault." Naruto smiled helplessly. At this moment, the kitten suddenly jumped in front of Naruto and shouted in dissatisfaction, "My name is Shalulu, I'm Wendy's guardian, not a pet." Seeing the serious expression on the kitten's face, Naruto couldn't help laughing. He lowered his head and said to Wendy, "It looks like you and this kitten have a good relationship." "Well, Shalulu is my best friend." Wendy smiled. "Oh, is it better than me?" Naruto pinched her little Chong's nose. "Well, no, Naruto brother, you are not included in the ranks of my friends." "Ah," Naruto was stunned. Wendy laughed again. "Big brother Naruto is big brother Naruto, you are my unique big brother Naruto, you are the most special one." Only then did Naruto's expression soften. "This girl, are you trying to tune Guy himself?" "Wendy, it's shameful for you to be like this. You are so dependent on people at such an age." Shalulu laughed aside. "That's what I want. What's so humiliating?" Wendy would listen to Shalulu when she saw Naruto. She was tired of being in Naruto's arms at this time, just like Shalulu was always in her arms. Not wanting to come out. "Oh right, Naruto brother, I just heard that you became an S-class mage. Is this true?" Wendy suddenly raised her head and asked after playing in Naruto's arms for a while. "I didn't expect the news to spread so quickly, it's true. Hehe, big brother Naruto is the best. In the future, I must practice hard and become an S-rank mage like you," Wendy said with a longing smile. "Okay, then you should work hard. As a dragon slayer in the sky, your potential is very powerful. I'm optimistic about you." Naruto pinched her pink cheeks again. I will definitely work hard. When I grow up in the future, I can use magic to assist you." 660. New Discovery. In Wendy's guild, Naruto stayed for a day and planned to leave. This time, he just came to see how Wendy was doing. Seeing that she was in the guild, everyone took good care of her, and there was a cute pet to accompany him. He was relieved. When she left, Wendy was reluctant to give up and hugged his leg, wanting him to stay with her for a few more days. Naruto didn't expect Wendy to stick to him so much. In the end, he said something and made a lot of promises before finally coaxing her and leaving the demon cat's lodge. Start the journey again. The next destination is the extremely cold land. Ulu must have lived a very lonely life there, and it would be unreasonable not to visit her. Dragon Dagon was still there. Maybe she could talk to her, but unfortunately, when the ice dragon was gone, she could only face a piece of ice and snow every day and suffer in the ice cave. A few days later, Naruto came to an extremely cold place. This place is still the same as before, the constant ice cold. The feeling of icy coldness seems to be back to when I first came here 2 years ago. Following the original direction, Naruto quickly found the place where the ice dragon once stayed, the ice dragon cave. Naruto's mood was a little inexplicably excited for some reason. "I haven't seen Ulu for a long time. I don't know if she is okay." Naruto had an indescribable feeling towards her. During the time he was with her, Naruto felt that he lived a simple yet fulfilling life. Ulu's body exuded a kind of maternal brilliance. At that time, when the two were together, they felt at home, very warm and happy. In Naruto's heart, he could no longer treat her like a master and a savior. Walking into the ice dragon cave, everything here is the same as before, and the surrounding ice is all the way down to the tunnel. "Ulu, are you there?" Naruto shouted openly. The sound echoed in the cave, layer upon layer of echoes going back and forth. No one responded. Is she not here, but going outside? Mind-blowing thought. He was a little surprised when he came to the ice room where Ulu once slept. In the ice room, the facilities are simple, and there is no Ulu figure, but there is a door on the wall. There was no door here before. Did Ulu cut another room during this time? Naruto muttered. Walking into this door, Naruto suddenly saw a pitch-black passage that was sloping downward, and this passage seemed to be a slope. There were no steps, and you could slide down directly. With curiosity, Naruto sat down, slide down this man-high passage directly below. It felt like he was on a slide, with Naruto's hands on the frozen slide, all the way down. Suddenly, he felt a change in temperature, and it seemed to be a little higher than when he was on it. There is something wrong with this. This extremely cold place is formed by a huge piece of floating ice. It is reasonable to say that the further down you go, the colder it becomes. However, he was even more surprised soon, because as he slid forward, a little light suddenly appeared in front of him. This way down, it has almost reached thousands of meters on the ground. Naruto was very curious. Could it be that Ulu built a room under the ice? Suddenly, the light in front became brighter and brighter, and it turned out to be an exit. With a swoosh, Naruto slid out of the exit directly, passing through a layer of icy cold air. He suddenly felt himself entering a warm atmosphere. As far as the line of sight can be seen, it turns out to be a huge cave. Below the cave is a pool with a diameter of tens of meters. The heat is coming out of this pool. On Izumi. Such a word popped into Naruto's mind. Actually Wen Izumi, at the bottom of this glacier, there is still Wen Izumi, and this is no longer a glacier, but a rock cave. And on the top of the cave, there are actually some crystal lamps. It seems that this should be the junction of the glacier and the ground, and I should have gone directly to the bottom of the glacier. The warm breath immediately surrounded him, and Naruto's body fell directly into the warm Izumi water. It's so comfortable. I didn't expect Wen Izumi to be here. After Naruto fell into the water, he quickly stripped off his clothes and soaked in Wen Izumi for a while. It seems that this place should be discovered by Ulu. It is indeed a wonderful thing to have such enjoyment in the ice and snow. Mind-blowing thought. The temperature of the Izumi water is moderate, and it is very comfortable to soak in here, and Naruto has a feeling that he does not want to go out. At this moment, in the ice hole above the head, a figure suddenly flew out of it, and Naruto was shocked. Yeah, the person who came cheered and fell into the water with a plop. Naruto took a closer look. It was Ulu. However, what embarrassed him was that Ulu was wearing nothing on his body, and it seemed that he slipped off after taking it off. Fortunately, it fell into Wen Izumi at this time, and Naruto only caught a glimpse. However, Naruto found that Ulu didn't realize that she was here. The place where she fell into the water was in the center of Wen Izumi, and she was on the edge, covered by fog, and Ulu didn't see Naruto. Seeing her entering Wen Izumi, Naruto hurriedly ducked underwater. If you can't be discovered, you have to give her a surprise. Naruto suddenly had such an idea. So he hid in the water, motionless. Because Naruto Master has water magic, even if he lurks in the water for a long time, he will not be suffocated to death. He just waited quietly in the water, but at this moment he suddenly felt something strange in his body. He was hot, thirsty, and had an unusual agitation in his body. This long-lost feeling shocked him all over. No, this is obviously desire. The feeling of hope. How is that possible? My body is only 12 or 13 years old. Although I miss women very much psychologically, because my body is still immature, I would never have such a reaction under normal circumstances. Could it be that this is the reason for the water in this pool? Naruto can only use this reason. At this time, he was already hard and uncomfortable. Although his body was still small, it had already begun to take shape. No, it seems that I have to go out, and I can't stand it any longer. Naruto thought so, and suddenly probed out of the water.